incredibly grateful just to be back in the building. Welcome back with open arms from my teammates, the whole entire organization. Not gonna lie, it's been relatively tough to watch from the sideline with everything going on in the world. You know, I know everybody's feeling it, so just praying for everybody to be healthy during these times. But if I get the opportunity to get on the court and play with some of my teammates, and you know, even if it's just on the road for away games, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I didn't put too much pressure on them. They didn't put too much pressure on me, and we just respected each other's boundaries along with everyone else on the team. And now we're here, and you know, they were able to just be supportive of just allowing me to be, you know, available for road games. You know, that was the goal once this state mandate came in. It didn't work in October, but now that we're here, you know, I'm praying that it works.
Well, well, well.
Well, well, well.
I don't know that I thought I would say this a few months back, but it is so good to hear from Kyrie Irving. And tonight in Indiana, it's going to be even better to see Kyrie Irving. Michael, I am so excited to see not just Kyrie Irving, the gifted wizard, savant that he is, we all know him to be with the basketball. I'm excited to see the Nets' big three together and healthy. Michael, do you realize we have not seen the Nets at full strength in terms of their big three? Obviously, Joe Harris is still out.
We're going here.
But I mean, we just have
now. Okay, all right.
Well, how do you not? We have not seen them since last season. Because first, Harden was compromised with a hamstring. And then, of course, Kyrie went down with injury. And in the first 35 games of this season, we know what that's been. And so now, tonight, finally, we get to see a big three. You know I'm a numbers nerd. Who last year, when the Nets had their big three on the court together, they had a plus 11.4 net rating and a 123.5 offensive rating when Durant, Harden, and Irving shared the court together. You can smile all you want. They were unstoppable practically.
Like, already.
And I don't want to revisit last year. No. I don't want to revisit last year. I'm not doing that. Wow. I'm not talking about Kevin Durant's shoe size. I am not talking about if was a fifth, because I know we'd all be drunk. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to do that. No. Last year was last year. I'm talking about what a treat we're all going to get tonight.
Yes.
By seeing Kyrie Irving play basketball with Kevin Durant, with James Harden. It's a sight to behold. They're incredible.
Yes.
And it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Politics aside, vaccine, mandates aside, COVID conspiracy theories aside, set all that aside. A great basketball player is back tonight. And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I would say put that aside, but put it on the bench in the rotation, because it is still a part of this event. Now, we're not putting it way out of the arena. It's still in the arena. But I'm with you. Just the big event of Kyrie coming back. And I got to tell you, Michael, I never thought I'd say this. I missed Kyrie Irving. I missed seeing him. I missed him.
Thank you. You feeling me?
I missed his presence
his brilliance
on the court. Yeah,
his brilliance.
I mean, brilliance maybe a little bit. By the way, okay, can I just praise the dude?
Brilliance bothers you because I'm not talking about his mind. I'm not talking about how he thinks. I'm talking about as a performer.
I'm not either.
He is a brilliant performer on the basketball court.
In some ways. But, you know, people talk about him. I just want to point out. I want to just point out this, because I'll continue why I missed him. But I do want to point out that the way people talk about Kyrie Irving, you would think that he has, more all-NBA appearances, first, second team all-NBA appearances than somebody like, Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook, but he doesn't. But anyway, we'll come back to that. But it's just it's funny. It's just a lot of talk about Kyrie and how brilliant he is and he's the best, but somehow he's not winding up on these lists. I don't know why. Maybe the voters got it wrong.
What you're trying to say is that he's no Charlie Parker. He's no Charlie Parker, is what you're trying to say.
Well, we know that. I mean, a man invented his own language. I mean, come on. You can't compare him to the great Bird Parker. But no,
Well,
this is why I missed him.
You realize I'm complimenting you.
I know.
I was shouting you out. Oh, okay, no, that was a great shirt. It's a great shirt today. Awesome shirt. Yeah. Okay,
appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Good.
But the reason I missed him, and I do this all the time, like I'm just fascinated with different eras coming together because I always feel like, hey, we may not see this for a while, so I want to see what it's like. I'll go back, for example, and watch the first time Michael Jordan and Allen Iverson played, together. I even went way back, and this tripped me out. I went way back and I watched Wilt Chamberlain, an older Wilt Chamberlain versus a young Kareem, and Wilt was going hard at him. I mean, like Wilt was trying to block hook shots. I mean, Wilt was really trying to prove something to Kareem, but it was just like these different eras. So I say that to say Kyrie Irving, we talk a lot about Ja Morant and these young point guards. So Ja Morant, the new age point guard, and Kyrie Irving, just 30 years old, 29, 30 years old. How does that look? I want to see these matchups. I want to take advantage of this because it doesn't happen that often where you get to see brilliance, on-court brilliance, just coming together at the same time. And to your point about Brooklyn, I think we just need to assess what Brooklyn is. I don't want the story to be we never figured out what Brooklyn was because Harden was injured, Kyrie had to deal with the mandate, Kevin Durant was forced to put more on his plate than anybody imagined. I don't want that to be
you and your Bucks. You said a long time ago, you and your Bucks, you want to beat my Nets at full strength. So I totally understand that. And speaking of full strength, I don't think I miss, because I keep my own scoreboard, I keep my own stats. I don't think I miss that big that often. But a big miss that I had this year was in the preseason.
Tell it.
Saying, the Nets will be fine without Kyrie Irving. And listen, they're in second place in the Eastern Conference. They're not struggling without Kyrie Irving.
But you weren't the only one. But they're not. You weren't the only one.
Well, no,
they're not a championship team without him, right?
But true to form. If I recall correctly, not only did I say they'd be fine without Kyrie Irving, I think I actually may have said they'd be better insofar as they'd be one less bell to answer, one less egg to fry. So true to form, I might have gone a step too far.
Right.
But I thought they had plenty enough firepower with Durant, Harden, Patty Mills, Joe Harris, so on and so forth, to still come out of the Eastern Conference. Well, the season hasn't gone that way for a variety of reasons. Some of it's just been as simple as focus. Some of it's been guys in and out of the lineup due to injury and COVID. In fact, I read today where through January 4th, NBA player days missed to COVID protocols. Number 1, Chicago, 144. Number 2, Brooklyn, 125. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the Jazz with 1. And that's when Joe Ingles entered protocols on Tuesday. But point being, COVID has ravaged the Brooklyn Nets this year. But they've still been really good for the most part. So what I also didn't expect to say is that Kyrie Irving would add an intangible element that the Nets are clearly missing. Maybe it's just good old-fashioned energy. Maybe it's just having their boy back with them. But Kyrie Irving is going to give them a jolt that they need right now. Whereas just a couple of days ago, Kevin Durant was lamenting their focus in a loss, I believe it was to the shorthanded Clippers. So they need Kyrie Irving both in terms of his ability, his shot-making ability, his creation ability, but they also need Kyrie Irving just because they need a lift. And so I'm excited to see what they do. And by the way, Kyrie Irving is not going to get eased back into the lineup. Steve Nash has already said he's going to play some pretty heavy minutes.
Yeah, I think they miss his energy. I think they miss his artistry. The fans all miss his artistry. And they just miss another star. I mean, forget about like the jolt and all that stuff. You are talking about, maybe it's not first team All-NBA, but you're still talking about an All-NBA player who is a big part of their team. And Mike, don't be too hard on yourself when you said the Nets would be fine without Kyrie, because I do believe there was a great deal of smoke, and because there was a great deal of smoke, there was a fire burning somewhere, and I'm tracing the fire round about Brooklyn, because I think the Brooklyn Nets felt the same way. There were some rumors that, maybe they're
Well,
looking
they only
at
have 2
trading
top 10
Kyrie.
players. But, even aside from that, they only had 2 top 10 players and arguably the best player in the league. So you would think they'd be just fine with only 2 superstars. But that's just,
But I don't think anybody. But there are other teams. I think this is changing. This is a different conversation. Maybe for this moment, maybe for a different moment. It's not enough. Having two great players, it's clear in the league that's not necessarily enough to, win you a championship. Maybe it gets you into championship contention. It's not enough.
There's 2 great players, and there's 2 players who are Kevin Durant and James Harden.
Okay.
So yes, Kyrie Irving. I said from the beginning, Kyrie Irving was more a luxury than a necessity, and I was basing that on Kevin Durant and James Harden. But it turns out he's more important to that team than a casual like me realized. I'm not a casual.
And actually, maybe this is what it is. The team, they don't say it this way, but we can. We're not on the Nets payroll, right?
Not an insider.
We thought it was, hey, it's Kevin Durant, and then maybe James Harden and James Harden and Kyrie Irving are, 1B and 1C. Well, no, it's Kevin Durant, then it's Kyrie, and then it's Harden. Like, Kyrie is more important to what the Nets do than James Harden. Not to say that Harden is insignificant, but Kyrie is more important than
I think you had it right the first time. I think it's interchangeable. I think it's interchangeable.
You think so?
I
don't know.
I struggle to think that, at least based off last year, and again, we haven't seen them all together last year.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would be comfortable. I think it's clearly Durant's their number 1, but I would be uncomfortable saying that Kyrie is more essential to the Nets' success than Harden is. Now, remember, Harden got off to a slow start this year. So it's not like, and that's part of the reason that my calculus was off. My expectation this year was that Harden would come out, ready to rock and roll and healthy, but also not take as long as he did to get right. Because it hasn't been that long ago that Harden, there were like questions about, hey, is he slowing down? Is he breaking down? Is he the same guy? Well, then he turned it around quick and in a big way with his play as of late. But if you go back to last year, I think Harden, who became the de facto point guard, I wouldn't put him below Kyrie on the pecking order. I think you had it right the first time when you said it's 1 and it's 2A and 2B with Harden and Kyrie, depending on what day it is.
All right, can we talk about the other thing just briefly? Just briefly. Can I talk about the symbol?
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want. Okay. All right. I trust you. I trust you. Because it's a happy day. It's a happy day. This is not a day to talk about the shot. This is not a day to talk about COVID.
I'm not going to talk about
this is not a day.
I'm not going to talk about COVID. I'm not going to talk about COVID.
Okay. You talking about how this is going to work with him being a part-time, shout out to H-Town.
I'm going to do it
if you don't mind.
I'm going to do it.
I'll do it just fine. I can be a part-time point guard.
I like it. Ooh, I like it. I like that. I'm going to do it in a very surface way. We're going to go by the buffet. We're going to look at it. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. That's good. Then we're out of the line. We're not going to pick up anything. We just observe. I think it's interesting. And let's just pay attention to it. Okay, let's pay attention to it. Let's pay attention to some of the trends in American society and how certain people become symbols, convenient. They become convenient symbols, not for what they represent as a whole, but for what they represent in the moment. For example, Kyrie Irving became a symbol for some who were anti-mandate, anti-vaccine.
Yes.
So they were really all about Kyrie Irving. And I wonder if they'll have that same energy when Kyrie Irving gives his press conferences, and he talks about things that they may agree with or things that they don't. And will they still look at Kyrie Irving as heroic?
Of course
this
not.
is the same guy who.
Oh,
okay,
God,
all right.
no.
I just think it's just funny. It's just funny. So, hey, keep that same energy, though. That same energy.
It'll be shut up and dribble. It'll be shut up and dribble when he says the wrong thing. Oh, exactly. You know the answer to that.
Exactly.
No, what I thought you were going to say is this.
I'm not going there. I'm not going into deep waters. I'm going in the kiddie pool. I'm in the kiddie pool right now.
But just to kind of recap this journey of ours on this here program, this here platform.
Yeah.
When word first emerged that there was momentum building toward Kyrie rejoining the Nets, you thought he was going to break down and get the shot. I'm like, nah, you must not know Kyrie if you think he's going to reverse field and get the shot. The Nets are actually going to say, you know what? That part-time thing ain't such a bad idea after all. And sure enough, it was the Nets that acquiesced, because we know New York's now changing the mandate, not with Omicron, out of control.
Especially now.
So
yeah,
exactly. So he's here now playing road games. How long does this arrangement last? Like, now I'm inclined to believe, now that he's back, and I think it could work. I honestly do. I think they're talented enough. I think and now I am going to talk about their intellect. I think, and this goes back to the original argument we had when they first formed this big three. I think one of the reasons they thrive is because, as talented as they all are, none of them get enough credit. And I get that they do a lot of things that make you scratch your head off the court or on social media. All three of them at various points. But all three of them are brilliant basketball minds. They have amazing basketball IQ. And it's why they're able to function together.
I agree.
So I do think that it can work in the short term. I think that it can work having essentially two types of teams, one at home and one on the road. And matter of fact, with all the players coming and going in COVID, that's a hell of a secret weapon to pull out. That's a hell of a card to pull out of your back pocket in the form of Kyrie Irving. At one point, this will come to a head. Will Kyrie Irving have to get this shot? And I'm coming around to you, Michael, now, thinking now that he's joined the team, now that they've met him halfway and said, okay, you could be a part-time player, I don't see this arrangement working in the playoffs. And I think Kyrie Irving will not only have to get the shot, I think that's when he'll get the shot. He'll have made his point. He'll have stood on his purpose. But I think he will end up getting the shot in order to be there for a home game 7. I don't see the Nets tanking games and getting a lower seed so that they have a road game 7 with Kyrie Irving. I think he's going to end up getting a shot, and they'll have him full time come playoff time.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I may be confusing Kyrie Irving with somebody else. I don't have him in front of me, but for some reason, I feel like he has some connection to Australia. Was he born in Australia? Is that what it was? There's some Australia connection, right? Is that what it is with Kyrie?
Yeah,
all right. So
that sounds right.
I was reading a story about Djokovic, actually, in Australia, and how there's a pushback for him of playing in a tournament because he's got an exemption. And the Prime Minister says, the Prime Minister's like, no, I don't think so. But and I was fascinated by this. It's funny, I didn't think we'd talk about this today, but it just hearing you talk about Kyrie and the shot,
he's born in Melbourne.
Australia,
he was born in Melbourne.
His background, he was born in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, great, beautiful country, by the way, beautiful. I love it.
You loved it a little too much.
Stunned.
As I recall, you missed deadline from Australia.
Go ahead. Come on, tell the story.
You missed deadline from Australia with a 24-hour head start or whatever it was. They still talk about that. It's legendary.
Yeah.
It's legendary.
Yeah. And it was too bad. Okay. Anyway, I was going through something. I really was. I was having, I think it's great that you can make fun of a crisis I was having. I was having a little bit of a, Chuck Knobloch, just couldn't.
You know what? I'm sorry.
Just couldn't.
We've evolved as a society since then.
Make the throw to first. I couldn't make the. I could not make the throw to first. It was
couldn't let it go.
It was a hard
I got
thing.
you. We've all been there.
But I was reading the story. In all seriousness, okay, Australia. I was blown away. There's this sharp criticism because he's unvaccinated. Djokovic, I'm talking about, unvaccinated. And you know what the numbers are in Australia? This blew my mind. You know that 90% of Australians have had 2 shots.
Not one, but 2. Wow.
2. 90% of the country is vaccinated.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I can understand why they would look at somebody and say, what are you doing? Now, I know it's Australia. It's a smaller country than we are, different dynamics. Sure, there are lots of differences between the U.S. and Australia. But I do wonder if Kyrie, and he is a student of the world, and he is inspired by many things. I wonder if he looks around and just gets outside of the U.S. context, the either or, this binary thing that we have going. If he just looks at other communities and other cultures and says, all right, maybe I need to revisit this. Maybe I need to rethink it. and get the shot. If I'm going to take him at his word, and I've continued.
That he was gathering information. Yeah, that he was.
I continue to do this.
That it was a process for him.
Taking him at his word. He never said he was. And this is what he said. I'm not pro-vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine.
Yeah. He
so if he's not anti-vaccine, maybe he does.
There could. No, you're right.
There could, actually gets it.
No, there could come a day where the rubber meets the road, and I'm so glad you combined this story. I'm so glad you combined this story. Because Australia's like, oh, hell no. we don't care about your pursuit of another major championship. And so Djokovic is going to have to make a decision. Does he want another trophy to add to his case, to his legacy as one of, if not for all his shenanigans and all of his personality flaws, one of, if not the greatest tennis players of all time? Or is he going to suck it up and get the shot against, his own principles? Kyrie, there's going to come a day when he's going to have to make that same call, and I do think he will choose to be there. I think missing 35 regular season games is one thing. Come playoff time, especially once he's been reacclimated into the team, I think that peer pressure is going to hit him, man. And he'll do what you did. He'll come to some kind of conclusion, arrive at some kind of conclusion based on whatever other fact finding he still needs to, to undergo and get the shot, and he'll be there. And maybe this year, Michael, I won't have any excuses. I won't have any excuses when they're all whole against your Milwaukee Bucks. Maybe this year they'll all be on the court at the same time, healthy.
I think just to do your due diligence, Mike, I think you should find out what the shoe size is of Kyrie Irving, what the shoe size is of James Harden. Just ahead of time. Why don't you go ahead and do that, just in case you need to pull that one out, okay? Can we do that?
I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm turning the page.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.